blurred the background out. No, that was just coming out in her.
Cool. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this new podcast. And we are joined by Eda Adams. Welcome, Eda. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Yeah, they're good. Good. Happy Friday. So, this is part two, really, isn't it? Because we've done
It
part
is.
one. But maybe if people haven't listened to your first podcast that you did with us, perhaps you can just give us a brief introduction, what your business is called, and how long you've been a pet groomer for.
Okay, yeah. So my business is Whoop and Ready in Warrington. And I've been a pet groomer for eight years now.
8 years.
Yeah.
Has that gone quickly?
Um, yes and no. Sometimes it flies by, and other times it feels like a long time.
Have you got any customers that like started with you from the beginning?
Yes, yeah, I still have. Not as many as I would like, if I'm completely honest, but I still have a few that have been from day one clients. And I'll be honest, their dogs are incredible to groom. They really are. Like they came to me as puppies, and so they've only ever known me. They know my routine, they know my environment, they know everything about it, and they're just so happy to be groomed, and that's a real pleasure,
And they've
actually.
they've stuck with you through thick and thin. So I wonder what can you remember like 8 years ago what their price would have been? Like if you can think of one customer that you did 8 years ago, what their price may have been and what it is now.
Yeah, so one of my clients would have paid me £25 for her Morkie,
A what?
a Maltese Yorkie
Okay.
mix. And now she pays me pounds,
70, was
um,
that? You
70, 75.
wow.
Yeah. And she stayed with me through two premises moves, had a few price rises. She did go somewhere else, but she actually went somewhere else for about three grooms and then came back.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so that's one, and the other one, another one I can think of, a Maltese. She would have been paying me £25. Now she pays me 60.
Awesome.
So yeah, they've stuck through me through quite a lot of business changes and definitely through a lot of personal changes as well. So I'd say those clients to me, they're more like friends as well, really. I've got really good relationships with them, really good friendships. They know me, they know the kids, they know they've like our kids have grown up at the same time and things like that. So
Yeah.
been nice with those clients. It's been nice.
Yeah. Amazing, isn't it? £25 to £75 and it goes to show, doesn't it? I think that kind of demonstrates that it's not about the money a lot of the time. As in people use your services because it's you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I definitely have a lot of clients like that.
Mm.
They may not have come to me at the very beginning when I first started Woof and Ready. They may have dropped in later years, but I do have a lot of clients like that I know they come and they pay the money because they just want me to groom their dog, and they will often say it's because of my interactions with their dog. They're watching everything, aren't they? Like they watch how I react to their dog, how their dog reacts to me, even how I am with them, I think. And I do think that's a lot to do with it, is actually how I interact with the clients. Like I always make sure I can have a chat with them. Not try not to do it at drop off, but I can always have a chat with them when they're picking up, leaving for their appointment. I always make a point of, I store all my clients' details so I know what their husband's called or what their kids are called, things like that. I make a point of knowing that about people. And obviously you get to know that about people as you build relationships with people. But you know, they always ask me, I always ask them where we're up to. We have a nice chat when they drop off. I'm quite personal with them, I suppose. Maybe sometimes I think I could be too personal with them sometimes, but I think there's a balance, isn't there, really? And it works well for me. So I have a lot of those clients that just they really want to work with me. and I think because of that, they've supported me through the price changes, the increases and the changes to the way I run business. I remember when I first started, it was like a free for all. We're like, come when you want.
Just like
See you in
turn up.
3 months.
Yeah.
You know,
You know, you having worked with you for I don't know how long in that. How long you so you also a member of the business program. How long have you been on the program for? I think it was April
22, was
to
it?
2 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so having worked with you for 2 years, you're certainly very confident in setting those boundaries. And but not only setting the boundaries, but also making sure your clients respect those boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's something that I've definitely got better at since being on the program, to be honest. I don't think I was always like that. I think it has taken a lot of self-development really. So I've been, since joining the program, I've worked on myself a lot more. I've gained a lot more confidence in my abilities as a groomer, and as a business owner. And those things, I think just getting those extra things behind me did give me the confidence to be more proactive with my boundaries with my clients. So I always like now I'll tell all my new clients now that we are like a 6 week salon. I just say to them that's non-negotiable. That's where we are.
What?
So
A 6 week salon.
yes, we are.
What's that mean? A six We are here at Woof and Ready. We are a 6 week salon.
We are you come every 6 weeks or we don't want to serve you anymore. This is where we are now. And you don't have to be rude about it, you just I think for me it's always like, well actually and it particularly I think for me it works because I do get a lot of poodle crosses. So I'll get a lot of anything you name it's crossed with a poodle. They all seem to want to come to me. Which is fine. I like grooming them. But because of that, you can very quickly, if you're anything outside of 6 weeks and the owners are not brushing their dog, you can very quickly end up with matted dogs coming and the dogs hate it. And then I'm having to shave them off and the owners are like, oh, it's too short. So, I think you can communicate that with them. So I'm like, well, at 6 weeks, you don't really have to do too much brushing, in all honesty. And we can always have a nice haircut. Everybody's happy. The dogs are happy. They know what to expect. I'm happy because I'm not being worked to the bone. And you're happy because you get the haircut that you want.
Yeah. And this again, it goes back to what you were saying earlier about that relationship. And it's not, these people aren't someone that just comes in, use your services and disappear,
Mm.
like they may have done a few years ago. These are the people that, value your service. They come into your world. They're part of your business. And I suppose it's what they described as a client, not a customer.
Yeah, yeah,
You
definitely.
work with them, don't you? You work with them
Yeah.
to achieve what they want.
Yeah, definitely. I do a lot of them as well because I offer teeth cleaning. I've offered teeth cleaning for quite a long time, but a lot of them because and I really love that about my clients is they do consider that a priority. They want their dog's teeth to be nice. They want them to have good oral health. So, even based on that, that really helped me to try and get people into a good grooming routine because I tied the teeth cleaning into the grooming appointments, and so most people come every 6 weeks. I'll have a groom and teeth now. And I must say, like at 6 weeks, the teeth and the gums, the dogs are in great condition. Even, I've got 5, 6 year old dogs and they've got mouths like they still look like a puppy because they've got good adult teeth. But the gums are really nice and pink, the teeth are really nice and pearly white, and they just don't have bad breath. So it works really well. And that's helped me to get a lot of my clients on a good routine, and they want to do it because they want to they want to look after their dogs as best they possibly can. So it's a really nice bunch of clients that come to those kind of appointments.
Yeah, yeah. And what would you say? Like, it's been 2 years. I didn't realize it was April, wasn't it? And we were recording this in April, so it
Yeah.
has been like 2 years, possibly like end of April. I can't remember the date that you signed up, but what would you say have been the sort of biggest changes in the business in the last 2 years?
um
Significant changes for you.
yeah, my business is definitely more organized. That's the first thing. I'd say more organized and more focused. So I used to be quite easygoing, we could say, with my clients and with my diary. People would be like, "Oh, I can only come at like 3:45," and I'm like, "That's okay. My last appointment's at 3 o'clock. You come at 3:45, and I'll just work late." you know. Whereas now I'm like, no, absolutely not. My last appointment is at 3 o'clock. That's when you come, or you don't come. So just having the day organized, I work to a financial target now, which I never did before joining the program. And just having the financial target, I know I'm very analytical with my business in that sense now, I suppose. And I know what my financial target is for every day. I know what work I need to do to get there and what combinations of work I can do. So I know if I start the day and I'm £25 off my financial target for the day, well, I could get a teeth cleaning trial in, or I could get a couple of nail trims in, and we've smashed that. So I'll put something out on social media, or I do have the benefit of working in a doggy daycare as well. So I can also have a quick scout around the daycare and see if anybody needs their nails trimming. That's something I
Yeah.
do.
What's that? Which dog's making that tip tappy noise on
Yeah,
the?
I'm like, come on.
You're like, no, like flex your ears. Like, who's that? Who's making that noise? Let's go and sort
Yeah.
it.
So yeah, and I do get I do get quite a lot of I get a lot of like walking nails and things like that, which help out with that. But yeah, I think the main thing is being more organized, working to a financial target, and just the boundaries of the clients, really. I think my clients have a lot more respect for me since joining the program than they did beforehand, and that's because I think I've just shown them a lot more leadership than I ever did before. Definitely.
I think I was going to touch on leadership actually when we were talking about boundaries, and I forgot about it. But you're right. You're so right. I think we're a service-based industry, aren't we? Which means we trade our time for money and we provide a service to people. But many of us, or many pet groomers, struggle to put across to clients that you're the professional. You
Yeah.
know, people pay like £4,000, 5,000 for qualifications and training, which means that they're more qualified and more knowledgeable than the client that's bringing the dog. You are the professional. And this is where,
Yeah.
like you said, we need to provide that leadership to the client. And I love the way you're very like saying about you being strict to your boundaries. And I can hear you saying, no, we don't do that here. And that's pretty much how sometimes you phrase it, I think. No,
Yeah, I
you're not
literally
doing
do
that.
sometimes. I get people with, they've got the matty cockapoos and they're like, oh, but I want them kept long. They've just got a few mats. If you could just brush them out. I'm like, absolutely not. No, that's not something we do. And literally, that's how I will say it to them. Like, no, I'm sorry, we just don't do that here. We're not, if that's what you want, we're not the right salon for you. These are the reasons why we won't do that. This is what we'd like to do instead. And, if you want a nice long fluffy coat, we can work towards that with these regular appointments.
So when going back to that the 3:45 appointment, when people used to try and squeeze into your diary and you'd end up working till half 6, 7 o'clock at night, what was the driver behind saying yes to those kind of appointments?
I didn't like to let people down, primarily. Um, that was always the first thing. I don't like letting people down. Still don't like letting people down. It's a bit easier with me now. But if I can avoid it, I will avoid it. But I think in my business, I felt like I wasn't really in control of it. Like it was definitely controlling me in that I I felt like I had to, if they wanted it, I had to give it to them. Otherwise, they might go somewhere else. Like I might lose that client. So I didn't want to disappoint them on that basis. Also, I think financially, I wasn't earning a lot of money pre-program. And so, well, that could be an extra, Bill, that could be an extra £30.
Better than 25. I'll
That's
give-
£25, that can be an extra 25, £30 in the day. That would make a big difference. So there was that element to it as well, is that actually it was just about, well, God, I've only groomed 3 dogs today and I need 4. So if 4 comes at half past, quarter to 4 or 4 o'clock, then so be it. That's what it'll have to do. And inevitably, because I had no control over my clients, that dog would come in at quarter to 4 and it'd be matted and it'd be a big old job. And then the client's like, can you brush them out? I'm like, God. I'll do my best. Not we don't work like that anymore.
Yeah.
So
It's amazing the changes that you've made. We don't work. No, we just don't work like that anymore. We just don't. And going back to money, and there is some criticism. I do get some criticism because I sometimes feel as though I focus so much about the money, but the money opens up so much for your business, doesn't it?
yeah, absolutely. I think charging enough for the appointments on a day-to-day basis. So making sure the price is right for the grooms means that if I've had days, even in this last week, I had a day where my last appointment wasn't filled. Now, I did have people phoning me like, well, I don't finish work till 4:30. So I could get to you at like 4:45. And years gone by before I'd have been like, oh, well, I've got nothing on at home tonight. Okay, yeah, I'll take that. Whereas this week I've been quite happy. I've gone, well, that appointment isn't filled, so I'll finish early, or I'll do a bit of admin and then I'll finish early, or I'll get a head start on deep cleaning the salon, or so it gives you a lot more peace of mind just knowing that the money's coming in and it's enough money means you're not panicked and you're not feeling like you've got to take anybody that phones up. I think at the moment I'm turning away more dogs than I'm accepting new dogs, just because I am quite strict with the criteria of dogs that I take. So, I'd say it's quite, sometimes I think, wow, I've said no more times than I've said yes in the last couple of weeks. I was thinking about that this week, but it's okay because I'm not feeling panicked because I'm keeping track of the finances. I'm keeping track of where I am against my target. I'm not too far off my target. I'm happy enough with that. I feel like I've got a good work-life balance for this month as well. Like I've done what I needed to do. I've had a couple of half days. Um, and that's been nice. I don't feel like there's the pressure anymore. And just having that financial security from the business means I don't feel the pressure to fill every last slot that I have. And, I used to feel like that quite a lot, and I don't feel like that anymore.
Yeah, and we see this, don't we? And you now you've been in the program for 2 years. You can see it when new members join, and we get periods where pet groomers love to be full. They love to be working at like 100% capacity. And as new pet members join and they put their prices up and they start to reduce their number of clients that they're doing, there is a bit of fear that when people look at their diary and go, oh my God, my diary's not crammed. Like they get
Yeah.
fearful, don't they? And get quite scared about it.
Yeah, I think it's quite a natural progression through the process of like you put your prices up and you're like, okay, so but you maybe not seeing the full effect of that. And then you do start getting some gaps because inevitably you do lose some of your clients, you obviously gain some new ones, but there's a bit of a crossover where you're like, oh, I haven't filled it, and there's a bit of anxiety kicks in because you think, oh, I should be working, and almost a bit of guilt at the same time as well. There's all sorts of different emotions that play into it where you're panicking because of those gaps. But I think when you get through that, it's actually quite nice because I don't look at my success in a week anymore by how full my diary is. I look at my spreadsheet and where my financials are up to. And if I've hit a certain mark by the end of the week, even if I've only worked half of that week or three-quarters of that week, I'm happy, I'm content. I don't feel stressed by it at all.
Yeah.
And that's a nice position to be in, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah. Have you always been stressed with money?
Oh God, yeah, always, always. Because I've been a single parent for most of. I've obviously had relationships and partners, but I've been a single parent. My children are well, my oldest is 22, my youngest is 19. I might have mentioned the middle one, otherwise I'd be leaving her out. But she's 21. Nearly 21 this year. And I've always been a single parent. I've always been responsible for them financially. I've never really had a lot of help um, I've never had a lot of help, financial support from their dad. I've never had help or financial support from my family. So I've very much been on my own, responsible for for them, for everything they need, and I like anybody else, I want my kids to have the best of everything. Who doesn't? I want them to go to a good school. I want them to do the extracurricular activities. I want them to be good, well-rounded individuals that can go off into the world and make their own waves. So there was always a lot of pressure on me financially to provide things like that. But sometimes, if I'm completely honest as well, just to keep a roof over everybody's head. Um, and that's something that I've lived with for 20 years, really.
Mm.
And it hasn't always been easy. So I think to get to a point now where I am not feeling that pressure on a daily basis has made a massive difference to my life.
And I remember when we first originally like spoke, and it was like things are going to change,
Oh, it
otherwise
was, yeah.
things were quite desperate.
It was bad. It was bad. Yeah, it was bad. And that's what prompted me to join up, wasn't it? Because I've listened to lots of these podcasts. I'd been on the big Facebook group. I've been watching things put in there. I've been seeing a couple of your posts go up from like wins, and I was thinking, my goodness, like that would make a massive difference to my life. And there was a little part of me that was like, oh, is this possible? Like, could this work for me? Because I always thought, well, I'm not the type of person where things easily happen for them. Life is always that kind to me. So would this work for me? Is this going to be something that could I achieve the same results that they achieve? That was those kind of questions I had in my mind. And that's when I was at a very low point and I saw one of your posts and I was like, oh great, I'm just gonna send him a message. So I did, I sent you a message, and then I think within 2 days we were on a call,
Mm.
and yeah, signed up. And it was a big thing for me. It was a leap of faith, most definitely. But also I was financially in a very desperate place, and so it needed to work.
On that, if you don't mind asking, like, how did you find the money to sign up? Because I speak to a lot of people that, um, run very busy businesses, but maybe aren't actually earning the money that they need, or their staff earn all the money, and they, as a business owner, they actually don't earn any money whatsoever. And you're just like, who are we running that business for? How did you find that money to part with and to sign up?
Um, I I obviously because you had a payment plan,
Hmm.
which was really helpful because that helped to spread the costs a bit. But also, I think you said to me on the call like this course will pay for itself. And I was like, hmm. So I'll be honest, the first couple of months, it was a struggle. But mainly, I think the first month, the first 2 months, it was just finding that money. But again, I felt like I was giving it an all or nothing approach at that time because it was that serious, the situation. So, if you remember, but I literally went on all the calls. I did everything. I was at everything. You name it, I was first in the queue. I was like, I need this to work. So the first 2 months was a bit of a struggle, but then as soon as I started making the changes in my business, it started generating that extra income to the point where I'd say within three or 4 months, I wasn't noticing that it was you know, I was like, well, there's the money. It's there. It's coming in now. I could see the change. So the money, I think after the first couple of months, it became less of a stress and more of a like, well, that's what I'm paying for. And actually I'm seeing the results and the benefits from that straight away. So yeah, it was much easier to see the value in it at that point, I think. But yeah, the first couple of months, it was tight. It was a struggle. But I was used to that. So one more struggle. Yeah.
We managed to prove your mum wrong as well, didn't we? That I
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
going to run off with your money and not do anything for you.
My mum likes you now, Bill. Yeah, my mum thought you were a scam artist. She's like, anyone can take your money, Eda. you haven't got that much money. It came from a good place. She was worried that I was committing financially to something that was just going to put me in more trouble and in a worse situation than I was already. Don't think my mum quite realised that it probably couldn't get much worse than it was at that point. But yeah, she was coming from a good place. She was just concerned. But now she's like, well, she sees the benefit, she sees the change in me as a person as well, not just the changes I've made to my business. I
Mm.
think the changes I've made to my business, they're visible to everybody, clients, family, friends. But I think the changes that have come about in me as a person as well, people, my friends and family all comment on that. They've all noticed a massive change in me. And it's definitely an improvement, I would say, an improvement. But I think a lot of it has come from feeling less stressed.
Mm.
Like I'm not stressed. I was so stressed. I don't think you probably, and maybe a lot of people are like this. I don't know, but I was so stressed before I joined the program. Even the first month of joining the program, I was stressed, but I was hopeful, but still stressed. So I think the changes in me have come from just taking the stress away, feeling more confident, trusting my business a bit more, feeling more self-assured than I ever have done before. And I think that all came from being on the program. I really do.
It's incredible, isn't it? And it's not there's so much more to it than just putting your prices up and getting more structure. I can tell that a lot of the stress that we have is because we don't know what to do or where to turn or who to speak to. But the community that the program provides or the mentors that it brings in helps you, because if I don't know the answer, then there's someone else that's going to know the answer, or there's someone else that's going to have done what you want to do or is
Yeah.
looking to do what you want to do, and you can do it together. It's that community feeling as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, I felt very much, I remember honestly that it's quite poignant for me, but that call that we had when I spoke to you on our very first chat, I remember I felt so desperately alone and stressed in that moment. I can still feel it now. I feel if I think about how I felt on that day, it gets me a little bit, like it was a tough time. And I think I did feel so incredibly alone. There was nobody who really understood. My family didn't understand. My friends who were all happily employed with their salaries, they didn't understand. There was nobody I could speak to who really did understand what I was going through. If I did speak to my family, my mum would be like, "Well, just get a proper job like the rest of us, Eda." you know,
Proper
this is
job.
what get a proper job, and just you go and you work full time, you get a salary, you get sick pay, you get holiday pay, and that's the way you want to go. You get pension. That's what you need. you know. So yeah, I felt very desperately alone, and then on the program, almost immediate, it's like you're scooped up by this community of people. Is like you've got a problem, and they're like, here, do this, try this. It's a little bit overwhelming, to be honest, to start with, but equally, you can see that these people have been through exactly the same as what you have. They've tried, it's worked for them, they've made a difference. And so why wouldn't you try that? You'd be silly not to.
Yeah, and now 2 years in, you're now making a difference to them as well, because you've been through it, you understand where people are, you understand how they're feeling when they're going through those sort of those very first price increases. And you can reassure them, and you do quite regularly, that it'll be okay.
Yeah, I think you remember that first price increase I did when I phoned you up and crying.
Yeah, I was at a hotel. Just yeah, I can't. I remember the message. You're like, I can't do this. I can't.
Yeah, I can't. This is a disaster. Um, and it's very real to people. It's a very real. It's a very real. The emotions, the fear, the stress. It's very, very real to people who are in that position, who are relying on that income and relying on those clients to feed their family, to keep a roof over their head. The stress is real, definitely. So I understand that. But it's nicer to be able to sit back now and think, well, you know, like you say, you will get through it. I can see people, I can almost feel the stress for them when they're putting these posts in there. And I do feel for them because I'm like, you've just got to trust the process. Just follow the steps.
Yeah, and we don't just sit here and go, put your prices up, put your prices up.
No.
We give you that, like how much you're looking at, what effect that will have on your business, how many people you can afford to lose,
Yeah.
to talk to your clients with, sales scripts to talk to new clients. It's not just like your other half or your family going, well, it's obvious, isn't it? You just put your prices up.
Yeah.
It's a bit more in depth than just doing.
Yeah, it's more in depth, and I think also the other coaches like the mindset calls with Louise. She's very good. She will literally she's quite straightforward in the way she delivers it, but you know, like she can just be like, right, okay, this is why you're struggling with this. This is what you need to do to get over that. And it's just regular support, really, what I would say, regular support that gets people through that. There's a lot of resources there. Like you say, it's not just put your prices up and all your problems will be solved. You know, yeah,
Yeah.
all your problems might be solved, but just putting your prices up is probably not going to solve all your problems.
No, and I wonder about that actually. So talking about the other resources, I talk to people about, oh, we've got a mindset coach and we've got a pricing coach. Does that actually mean, like, did you understand what that meant before joining the program? Did you actually
No.
understand like what a difference a mindset, someone that works on your mindset could make?
No, definitely not. Because I, I obviously, it's not that I didn't live under a rock, you know, I knew that your mindset affects how you approach things, how you handle things, how you deal with things. But I didn't really realize what my mindset was, if I'm completely honest, at the time. So to say we've got a mindset coach, we've got a product, some pricing coach, we've got, and I was like, well, okay, sounds great, but I don't know what they do. Sounds great, but I don't know what they do. I think I felt I could trust you, and I felt an instant trust for you because I'd learned about you, but I didn't know about the other coaches
Mm.
before joining the program. That was very, very new. But they quickly show what they can do, and they're really good. Everybody's really good. I think as a team, it's a really great team of people who can provide all the help and insights that you need. Definitely.
Yeah, and I know that you like a challenge, so you really dug into like your debt, like with you've got Fanny Snay, the money coach on the program, and
Yeah.
she's gone through masterclasses around debt, and you really dug into that as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I live my life by these spreadsheets now. But it's really good because I think for the first time in my life, I think there's a point when I had quite a lot of debt, and that's just it's not because I've lived this wildly reckless lifestyle, is because
Those
actually,
Caribbean holidays that you
oh
had.
yeah, I wish. God, that's there to come, but not now. But no, the debt didn't come from living this lavish lifestyle. You know, I'm always driving a banger of a car. I've not, you know, it's not from things like that. It was just from existing. It was just from bringing up three children by myself. Um, so it felt always when I did need to pay debts, because obviously you have to, or pay big bills and things like that, I was always like, oh, this makes me feel sick. I don't, you know, I've got to give them that money, but really I could use that money for this. Actually, sometimes I need that money for food, you know. So it made me feel quite sick to be paying the debts off. Whereas now I actually say it makes me feel really good to pay the debts off. You know, like I can see the balances reducing on things. I can see how many months I've got to go until I've paid that debt off and that is gone. And I'll say, you know, this year, by the end of the year, I'll be debt free. And that will be the first time in my adult life that I'll be completely debt free with a decent income to enjoy. And I'm really looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, I'm sure we're all going to celebrate.
We are going to celebrate.
And that's such hard work as well. And it's a testimony to it is hard. Yeah, testimony to the hard work you've done, even though you've but you've been able to reduce the amount of work that you've had to do as well, haven't you, with your
Yeah.
price increases?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I think if you look at, I've still, because I've always loved a spreadsheet. So I've still got my spreadsheets from a couple of years pre-program. And at some points I was grooming up to 10 dogs a day. Now, that's why I've got tennis elbow. But if how did I do that? Like I must have been superhuman because I might have been grooming up to 10 dogs a day to earn the same money as I'm earning now, grooming 4 dogs a day. And at 4 dogs a day now, that's enough for me. Like I am tired at 4 dogs a day. Um, I do a lot of cockatoos in my defense, but 4 dogs a day is enough. And I don't know how I physically got through 10 dogs a day. And then I think about as well, it's not just that, it's what experience were the clients having, what experience were the dogs having. You know, when I'm having to get through 10 dogs a day, we're not taking our time. We're getting shit done. Getting done
Yeah.
fast. So I think that as well, it's everything slowed down. It's just so much nicer.
You were saying earlier you come home on time.
Yeah, coming home on time. Like, can you imagine coming home at a reasonable time? I mean, I do have a half an hour commute from where I live to work, but I can be home by 5:30, 6 o'clock. Sometimes, and I am not exaggerating, my salon is on an industrial estate, and sometimes I've been there at 8:30 at night. The whole place is shut down. It's pitch black, and I'm the last person there. So much so, like my clients would often say, like when they pick their dogs up at that time of night, they'd be like, "Well, wait until you've locked up
Yeah.
because it's just sketchy. It's pitch black.
Yeah.
Not really a place you want to be by yourself at 8:30 at night." When it's dark outside in the winter as well. Like life has changed quite a lot. There's absolutely no way I would be at work now unless unless I wanted to, but there's absolutely no way I'd be at work now past 5:30, 6 o'clock.
It's your choice. And
Yeah, I want to be home
that's
by 6 o'clock so I
that,
can cook dinner, so I can see my friends if I want to, so I can spend some time with the kids.
that's the beauty of it, isn't it? It's choice.
Yeah.
Your choice. Not
Yeah, and I absolutely feel like I've got a lot more choice now.
yeah. If I want to earn more money, I can choose to.
Yeah, yeah,
If I want to work less, I can choose to.
yeah, definitely.
So part of this podcast is also to just to run over some events that happened around September time, was it?
Yeah, yeah,
Tragedy, just as you were getting everything going, your business was running smoothly, you had your
yeah,
apprentice and everything, you had your house fire, didn't you?
yeah, yeah. Oh, it was so terrible. I honestly felt like I was uh, in September before the fire, um, everything was I had my shit together. Everything was going really well. The business was doing what I needed it to do, and my apprentice, she was working really hard, and she was getting really good. Like she was at the point where I could rely on her. If I'd said like to do this, she would do it, and it would be done really well. She was really organized, and so she was a real asset to my business at the time. And I just felt really relaxed in my business for the first time in a long time. Um, I'd I'd be going home and less stressed, and with that lovely garden I could sit in, and I was just in a really good place with it all. And then yeah, we were away. Was it Groomfest? It's my memory at the time.
Yeah,
It's a bit off
we're
the wall.
yeah,
Um,
and this it often happens with trauma and stuff. But we were staying. Well, we had quite a lot of the clients, quite a lot of program clients, were all staying in the same hotel, getting
yeah,
ready for Broomfest. The following day, you were going to help out in the store, and then I remember that night you got the phone call from Alex, didn't you, saying
yeah.
gone.
Yeah, he phoned me, and what we'd had a couple of glasses of wine, and Alex phoned me, and oh God, it's probably quite triggering. We should have said that before we started, but his literal one line to me was, "Mum, the house is on fire and all the animals are dead."
Yeah,
And I was like, "Sorry, Alex," and he was like, "Mum, their house is on fire," and then I could hear one of the neighbors in the background on the phone to the fire brigade, and I was like, "Oh my God, the house is actually on fire." and likely is all my pets are dead. And it was, it was quite a sobering moment in that very moment. But equally, I was a good couple of hours away from home.
Mm.
I'd had a drink, I couldn't drive, I couldn't get there. So this was all going on over the phone, and Alex, Alex is 18. He's 19 now. He was 18. Alex had just come home from his shift working at the hotel where he worked, and he stayed a couple of hours later. So he didn't get home till 10:30, and he was home alone, and he found the fire like that. So it was horrific for him. And it was horrific for me knowing that he was in that situation and I could do absolutely nothing to support him whatsoever. So that was quite tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, it floored me. It really did. I was lucky that I was, in many respects, lucky that I was in that hotel with you guys and and all my friends because yeah, I think it's moments like that where in that moment when Alex told me that and I had the news, it was I was like, now what do I do? Like, now what do I do? Because I remember I was saying to Alex on the phone, like, oh my God, Alex, can you ask the fire brigade? Is there much damage? Alex, is there much damage? And the fire brigade got on the phone to me and I was like, so can you tell me, is there much damage to the house? How's the house? And the fire chief was saying to me, please, can we call you once we've got control of the fire? And in my head, that didn't relate to what was actually happening at the house. I just couldn't. I don't think unless you've lived through something like that, you can't picture how that looks if you've never seen anything like that before. So I was like, why won't they just tell me? I was expecting a couple of rooms to be damaged. Yeah, that wasn't the case. So yeah, I was a bit like bewildered. I was stuck miles away from anywhere. And it was almost strange because I told you because I didn't tell everybody else because I didn't really, they were all having such a lovely time. And I think you'd realize very quickly that there was something wrong with me. But I didn't want to spoil the rest of the time there for them. So I didn't even tell them. But I felt very much in that moment like my life's just fallen apart. I'm completely alone to deal with this. And that was quite a sobering thought. Um, Obviously, I wasn't on my own. I was lucky. And you jumped straight in, like, I probably relied on some of your life experience, but, like disaster control. And you jumped straight in and helped me out and started putting it was all a bit of a blur for me, to be honest. I just remember sitting there and talking and crying and talking and crying and talking and crying for most of the night. But I know you put quite a few things in place for me, which was lovely. Um, Contacting the charities and trying to find places for us to live, and then you also quickly set up the collection from your community as well, um, which was really really lovely of you actually, and really lovely of everybody to chip in. I think as I wanted to say thank you to everybody because I don't think you realise what difference that money made to me in that first month after the fire,
Yeah.
because I got home after we went home. I went home the very next day. It was an awful time, very, very emotional. I had to go and get my daughter because I just dropped her off, hadn't I, at uni? Well, she was going on a work placement for uni. I just dropped her off the day before, so I had to drive back, go and get her, tell her what had happened. That was not nice. Drive all the way home. It took me hours to get home. I was crying my eyes out all the way home. She was crying her eyes out all the way home. It was so bad I even ran out of fuel on the M6 about 10 miles away from home because I just didn't realise that I didn't have any fuel in the car because I just wanted to get home. Yeah, and I got home and the house was destroyed.
You're literally
Literally,
left with your suitcase of clothes that you brought to Groomfest, weren't you?
yeah, I had two outfits, a swimming costume and some goggles, and and my makeup. So that was it. I had nothing. Everything had gone. Everything had gone. All of our clothes had gone. All of our belongings had gone. All the fire brigade, because the house was on fire for, well, they got there at I think about 11 o'clock at night, and they didn't leave until 7:30 in the morning. And they were trying to put the fire out for all of that time. So what they do is they throw all of your things out onto the lawn, so that the fire is outside of the house and it goes out because it's just on the lawn, it burns out there. So I got back to just the most shocking scenes. I think I wasn't prepared for that at all. And then it literally floored me again because I was like, Jesus, this is way worse than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, really, really bad. Everything was on the grass. Everything was burnt. It was quite, I get quite emotional thinking about it. It was quite emotional.
The fire brigade cause carnage, don't they?
Oh, they do. I mean, they do, but they also do some lovely things as well. So they managed to. I had some on top of my wardrobes in the bedroom. I had some boxes which contained photographs. Before smartphones, we took photographs. So there was photographs in there of the kids when they were growing up. I had another box up there which had their baby clothes and things. It was just like storage, on top of the wardrobe. And the fire brigade actually they did wet everything, but they did pull out soggy photographs and soggy baby clothes, and it was all damaged. There was a lot of work went on like behind the scenes, repair, like restoring things like that. My mum did a lot of it for me, to be honest. I couldn't face it. I couldn't look at the things because it was too, every time it was, even now, I think I'd struggle to do that. Um, but yeah, so they did. The fire brigade did as much as they soaked everything. They put the fire out, I guess, and they destroyed all the furniture. But again, probably necessary. But they did save. They saved like if they found laptops or smartwatches, things like that. They pulled them out, put them in the shed for me, and the photographs, the baby clothes, things like that. So anything that they could see was potentially of monetary value or emotional value, they tried to save that for you, which I thought, given that what they had to deal with, was actually really, really good of them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
There's a lot of rebuilding physically and a lot of rebuilding mentally. How have you managed to stay resilient throughout all this? Because obviously you still so the reason why I got the GoFundMe or whatever it was at the time together was because, as a self-employed person, you don't get that money unless you're working. So straight away we know that you are going to be preoccupied with sorting out life and you couldn't.
Yeah.
So that's why we wanted to get that GoFundMe together straight away so that you had grace, you had money in the bank to be able.
Yeah, it did. It did help because I didn't, I couldn't have worked that first couple of weeks after the fire. I think I this is like a standing joke, but I woke up, cried for 3 hours with coffee, and then dealt with a couple of hours of stuff I had to deal with. People were bringing me clothes, people were bringing me toiletries, people. I cannot tell you, like I was in it. I couldn't do anything. I did that. So I cried for 3 hours, had coffee. Then I sorted through donations that people give me for a couple of hours. And then I was tired and I needed to go to bed because I was exhausted. I was physically exhausted. And it seems to be all I did for about 2 weeks was that of doing things.
Mm.
I couldn't go to work. I couldn't have done it. I literally couldn't even look at I was staying with my friend at the time. She has a Cocker Spaniel and a couple of cats, and I, I couldn't even look at them. I was in a bad way. So yeah, the money helped. It gave me a little bit of reassurance that I could have that time to process and deal with what had just happened. I didn't feel like I needed to rush straight back into work. So I actually had about 3 weeks off. Um, which I couldn't have done without that money. I would have needed to. I didn't have savings. I didn't have anything in reserve. Um, so yeah, really, thank you everybody who did that for me because it honestly made such a massive difference at the time. But yeah, on the resilience, I think the fact that I went from it was almost like, oh, this has happened, this is awful, boom, hit rock bottom, be scooped up by all the people around you. You're like, how can you stay down there? You know, like, how can you when there's complete strangers knocking on the door? And I am not joking, that door did not stop. My friend who I was staying with put a thing on our local community. People turned up with vanfuls. They were bringing furniture, they were bringing clothes, bringing food, they were bringing toiletries. These are complete strangers I've never met before. Um, and some of the people I knew, vaguely knew, but didn't really know, kept myself to myself quite a lot before that. But yeah, they bring all these things. So I was like, there is such, there's a lot of good people in the world. There's a lot of positivity in the world. And I think it was that really helped me to keep my head above the clouds, really, during that time because it was hard. It was hard to be sad when people were bringing you so much positivity and so much hope at the same time. So, so that was a great start. And then there was a point where I thought, well, I just have to go back to work. But I can't stay at home forever. I'm not even at home at my friend's house sleeping on an airbed. I haven't got a home anymore. So yeah, my friend from work, Melissa, bless her, she went off and got me some work clothes. She knows what I wear for work every day. So she went off and bought me some work clothes. The other girl at work bought me a new tunic. Things like that you don't realize. I mean, God, Melissa from work turned up with a bag of underwear like the next day. She was like, you haven't got clothes. Here's some, and that was really lovely. Toiletries, underwear, outfits for work, tunics for work, coats, shoes, everything that we didn't have. People were turning up with. So yeah, I had to go back to work, and I I really did struggle. I'd say for 3 months of being back at work, I was in survival mode, absolutely. I get to work, groom the dogs through the day with a lot of tears because some of these dogs I'd had for a long time. There's one now, it's bizarre. He comes in for grooming every time he makes me cry. Like he doesn't do anything, he just looks at me and I'm like, um, but I've some really good bonds and connections with a lot of these dogs and with a lot of the clients. All my clients were hugging me and they couldn't do enough for me. It was lovely, but I was very much in survival mode for about 3 months. And then I got to a point where I was like, right, I need to take control again now. Because when I got back to work, my apprentice had just got on maternity leave, hadn't she? So she went on maternity leave while I was off because of the fire. So I got back and I had 2 persons work to do. I had a big backlog of dogs. And some of these clients knew what had happened. They were very understanding. Some of them had no idea what had happened because they didn't know me that well and hadn't heard about anything. So I ended up with loads of work, nowhere to put the work, lots of stress, and just a real inability to cope with it at that time, to be honest. It was just like, oh, this is the worst thing. It was the worst thing. It was bad. But yeah, I just got to the point about 3 months in, I was like, right, come on now, pick yourself up. You've cried enough.
Back
And
into
yeah, literally just had to be like, right, back, let's get back to it. And it was very deliberate. Like I had to be very firm with myself, really, and be like, right, not hard on myself, but firm with myself. Like I struggle in the winter anyway with like I get a bit down if I'm not careful. So I need to pick myself up. So it was over the winter. We obviously moved into this. This is an Airbnb where I am now. We're still in the Airbnb. The Airbnb is lovely, like way nicer than my house that I moved out of. But the we moved into this Airbnb which has furniture, so we didn't want for anything immediately in this house. Um, so I set myself a thing like I'm going to get up every day, so new routines. And it sounds silly, but when you are completely swamped and you are so stressed and overwhelmed, little things like get up every day, and it's a standing joke now, but if I've done my skincare, I'm having a good day. Like get up every day, set an alarm, wake up to my alarm, because the first couple of months I was oversleeping, I was late for everything, I was in a mess. Set my alarm, bought a new alarm clock, set my alarm, wake up to my alarm, get up, make sure I'm drinking a couple of pints of water in the morning, make sure I'm showering, having my skincare done, make sure I'm presenting myself professionally before I go to work so that people don't think I'm having a breakdown. Um, and so start by that every day. But I'm not being, if I didn't achieve that one day, I wasn't so hard on myself, like, oh, you're a failure. This is always happened to you. That is a lot of negative self-talk that probably would have a few years ago would have been in my head. I would have talked to myself like that. I would have dealt with myself like that. But now I'm like, no, do you know what? That was a lot and you're doing your best and you're doing as well as you can do. So give yourself a break. You know what? If I oversleep, so what? I don't anymore, but there was a period where I was oversleeping quite a lot, or if I've not managed to do my skincare, um, go easy on yourself. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. So that's how I've managed to stay on top of things, really. It surprised me, I'll be honest. I surprised myself with how I've managed to get through the last 6 months or so. Because it was a lot. It really was. But I think I had just great support. I have great people around me. I have great friends, family. I have friends on the program. You were great support to me. Um, my work colleagues that I work with every day, they were great support. And I think just having a lot of good people around you is really, really helpful at that time. And it surprised me. I always thought I lived quite a solitary life, like I didn't interact with people. Now I can't go anywhere. Everybody knows me. But it surprised me how many people reached out to offer help and support and just love and kindness. That was a real surprise. But yeah, I think just being firm with myself, setting some rules for every day. That's what I do. Setting some rules for every day and just living to them every day. That's all I've tried to do, and literally putting one foot in front of the other and just keep going every day until it gets easier and it gets easier.
That's it. And I think also it was allowing that support in.
Yeah, because I'm not the type of person generally that will ask people for help. I've never been that type of person. I've always been like fiercely independent. I think when you said you were putting the page out to collect money, I was like, you can't take people's money off them, Bill. Like this is not okay. We can't do this. Like I was very uncomfortable with it. I was like, I don't take money off people. I don't take things off people. But I think when you're sat and when you sat and the 10th person has banged on the door with a truckload of things that they want to give you, it becomes a little bit easier to change your mindset on that, really.
Actually, it helps you. So things like that, it helps you to deal with it, but also the effect sort of ripples out, doesn't it? And when people want to help you as well, they don't know how to help you, so it's putting things in place for them as well to make them feel better about helping you as well. So
Yeah,
yeah, so you're uncomfortable about taking money, but people want to help. How can I help? Well, you can donate some money because that helps and it helps them as well. So it kind of like two.
yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think it's so many people, even now, like I'm going to be moving back to the other house in about probably, I think, hopefully about 3 months. They stripped it back to the bare brick. They took all the electrics, all the plumbing, all the internal walls out, it's literally bare bricks. It was an old house anyway. So they're basically renovating the old house into a new house. So it'll be, everything's going to be brand new in there. The electrics, the heating system, the windows all needed to be changed. They were all damaged. So everything, even the front door, everything had to go. So it's a big job. Still smell. I went in there the other day, and they, as much as they're making progress, haven't changed the front door yet. And when you open the front door, you get a big lungful of house fire smell, which is quite triggering, really. But they're going to change that. I'm sure when it's finished, it won't smell like that. But yeah, I think it'd be about 3 months. And when we move back in there in 3 months, the simple things like I still don't have beds, a sofa, wardrobes. There's still a lot we need and there's still a lot we're going to, but I've still got people reaching out to me now saying, we do have, I'm really sorry, can I take a quick phone call? Because it's ringing off. Can you just film me for 1 minute?
Just